delighted to be joined in the downtown den today by Bill Addy, who's the Chief Executive of the Liverpool Big Company. Welcome, Bill.
Great to be here, Frank. Thanks for inviting me into the den. We are socially distanced, but it's great.
Socially distanced, but live.
But live, and together in the same room.
Absolutely, and it does make a difference, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? You know, I've been Zoom calling since the beginning of March, like you and I. We've all been doing that. And the one thing you can't do with a Zoom call is look in people's eyes closely and see the reaction, because that's what you need to do. When you build a relationship with somebody, you need to see their face.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when you talk about businesses growing, developing, progressing, it's all about that interaction, swapping ideas, being creative as a team. And as much as Zoom is great to stay in touch with people, you don't get that same sort of interactivity. So we need to get people back, don't we?
We do, that's the key. We've got to get people back into our cities, back into the high streets, and people back working together. But working together safely, of course, because COVID is still around.
Now, listen, the bid has been hugely influential in terms of ensuring that the city has kept ticking over, and now obviously the important part of getting the city back to where it was prior to lockdown. And of course the Liverpool bid's been working in this Liverpool Cobra business group, closely working in association with the City Council. Liverpool Without Walls, I think, has been seen as an initiative that is unique to the city, but has been now adopted by other places. Always great to see Liverpool taking the lead on things. So what's the bid's role been in all of that, Bill?
Well, we took a decision right at the beginning of this process. You know, business improvement districts have been around in the UK for 15 years now. Here in Liverpool, we've been here 15 years with retail and leisure and the commercial district. And our business, our whole mantra is about supporting businesses. So right at the beginning of the COVID outbreak, when we started working from home, 16 weeks ago now, we took the decision that, we will follow the government's guidance. We'll start working from home. But we will make sure that when we're working from home, we're providing support. So the initial part of it was actually just providing reassurance. That first week, just ringing businesses, just finding out what they were doing, finding out whether they were working from home, what they were doing with staff. And then it moved into a process of helping businesses to get business support, so working with them to understand what the government guidance was, understand where they could get funding, so those initiatives that came out from central government, the small business rate relief grant, the retail, hospitality and leisure grant, and then additionally there was the discretionary grant, so providing support for that. But we did maintain a presence in the city centre. Liverpool bid fund 2 Merseyside police officers, and our police officers in the early phase of this were actually some of the only police that were actively sort of in that, with that interface with businesses, checking businesses were safe and secure. So that's what we moved into, but as well as doing that, then we realised that we needed to establish within the city, so with Downtown, the Chamber of Commerce, Liverpool Hospitality Association and also the City Council, we've met together, we've met on a daily basis from the beginning of this, and then we met weekly with the Chief Executive of the city and also with the Mayor of the city, looking at how we could support our businesses. And as you said, the Liverpool Without Walls is that initiative that has come out of the lockdown.
And of course, the other discussions led to the recovery plan being developed, which is a £1.4 billion ask in terms of some of the things that we'd like to see happen in the city. Now, just in terms of the bid and its role moving forward, you've mentioned the retail sector, and obviously that's where bid started in this city, with that retail sector. That's been hard hit as an industry, so it's crucially important that we get that right moving forward. And again, I know that you're working on some initiatives now around marketing, about attracting footfall back into Liverpool.
Yeah, so a business improvement district is set up, and it was set up initially in Liverpool. It actually replaced the Stores Committee. The Stores Committee, for those who remember it, and I do remember it, Stores Committee was a committee of the Chamber of Commerce to bring businesses together, because that's all a business improvement district is. It is, yes, it's a statutory body because it's set up by legislation, but it was always originated to help businesses come together, and it's about businesses putting a small amount in together to work together to improve the environment for them. So that might be the physical environment, could be the trading environment. So yes, we are working on those initiatives about how do we enable retailers in our city centre to work and to enable them to be successful. And that's part of the work that we're doing at the moment. So that's around about marketing, but it's also providing support around cleansing. And I've mentioned the police service, the work that we do with them, and also with our radio service, our business crime reduction plans that we have in place. That's all part of what we do as a business improvement district.
And then, of course, we moved the bid over to the commercial district, which is where we're sat.
2011.
Yeah, and again, you can see the huge improvements in regeneration that's taken place to the public realm. We've got safety initiatives in place. You bring the business community from this part of the city together on a regular basis through events, and we've been proud to get involved in some of them. There's a whole host of activities that go on behind the bid. Just tell us what you see as the next 12 months priorities, because of course as we sit here today, people are about to start to receive their rates bill, of which there will be a levy for the business improvement district. So what's that money spent on, and how do you decide where that money is going to be invested?
The first thing that I would say about that is the fact that the 12 months that we're moving into now are going to be, we keep using the word unprecedented because it is, because none of us have operated yet. We've worked through recessions before, but none of us have operated in this unknown period. So bid levy bills have gone out to our levy payers. That's about 1,300 in the commercial district, retail and hospitality, retail and leisure district. Those 1,300 businesses would normally provide us a levy of about 1.3 million. And we have in the past, we spend that on our safety, security, on our cleansing, our animation, the Christmas lights in the city centre. Both the commercial district and retail over the last 3 years have been funded in the main by private business. But we know we are facing a difficult 12 months as we come out of this COVID and as we start to rebuild our economy. So we understand that levy payers, although we've levied them, may have actually received business rate holidays, and the vast majority of our city centre is actually within that category of retail, hospitality and leisure that won't be paying business rates. But we still have a bid levy to pay. The money that we get in this year, we don't know what that will be. It's good to see that certainly some of our levy payers are paying us because they understand that they need to be keeping to fund the organisation because of the work that we do. We are looking very much at how we support business moving forward. The difficulty is, as you've talked about, how do we plan into an environment where we actually don't know whether we can physically be in the same place as each other, so we don't know whether we can hold our events. Our hotels won't be fully occupied, we can't do business tourism, can't even go to the game, can we? And you know how much we enjoy in this city going to watch a football match. But you know, we talk about actually just picking up on football, 40,000 at Goodison, 50,000 plus at Anfield on a regular basis. That fills the hospitality venues in the city centre, it fills our hotels and our cafes and restaurants. And until we can get back to that, then we struggle to know what to plan with. But we will be doing all we can to work together with the City Council, to work together with the various business organisations such as Downtown, the Chamber of Professional Liverpool, to ensure that we can get the best environment possible for our businesses. And that's the key to our planning going forward. But we'll have to be a certain amount of reactive planning, being able to be fleet of foot. We've seen through this, I mean, I talked about some of the Zoom calls we've had, but we've also set up the fortnightly webinars with our visitor economy, and we've had guests from the UK and overseas who've come in and spoken and provided information to our businesses, and I know that they've responded to us by saying that was great. You know, it's good to be able to hear what other people are doing. It's good to be able to be part of a community, because that's what a bid does. It develops and enables communities to work.
And the crucial thing I always think with bids, and particularly Liverpool's, because it's so good at engaging with its membership, is that it's very much an agenda directed by those businesses within the retail and commercial districts. So actually, when those priorities come out, it's priorities that have been set by the levy payers.
Exactly right. I mean, some people have the mistaken knowledge that they think bid is a public body. It's not, it's a private body. Business improvement districts Business associations, as I said, business alliances actually is the word that in North America that is used a lot, are exactly that. They're set up by private business. Although there's an overarching statutory instrument, an Act of Parliament, but they're still private. And by being private, they're actually directed by their levy payers.
Yeah.
So bids have to be transparent and open. And I chair the BID Foundation, which is the national organisation for business improvement districts in the UK. Part of our work at the moment is actually putting in industry standards about how bids should be run, and absolutely the core of them is about being open and transparent so that the businesses who pay the levy know where the money's being spent and actually can influence how it's spent.
Yeah.
So this is not some quango that imposes rules on business. This is a business organisation that understands how business operates and wants to get the maximum benefit for each levy payer. Whether that's somebody that pays us £120 a year or somebody that pays us £35,000 a year. And because we have that extreme in levy payers, it's about getting the best for them.
And ultimately, Bill, I know you share my view that bids have done a great job here, but they only cover a part of our city. And there's big chunks of the city centre that aren't included in the bid. And of course, what happens then is you get a bit of a mismatch between investment that's taking place in those parts of Liverpool where we see great potential and opportunity. So I'll take as an example the Knowledge Quarter.
Yep.
You could look to the Baltic Triangle. There's the waterfront. None of those places at the moment are covered by business improvement districts. Now, downtown in business, we've been arguing for a number of years now that actually we've got to have that conversation of extending the bid boundaries, because for a limited amount of cash, and I know cash is tight at the moment, but we're not talking massive sums of money, particularly for small businesses. The difference that investment can make is huge. So any plans moving forward to perhaps extend those boundaries for the bid?
Well, prior to COVID, and we were about to launch a manifesto for a citywide bid for exactly that. Because the city of Liverpool, for it to be a 21st century international city, needs a business improvement district at its heart. You see cities like Leeds and Manchester, Newcastle, with those citywide organisations, citywide bids that can lever in significant funding through the individual levies, that can be used for destination marketing, that can be used for major events, because we know that public sector finances were already squeezed, and we know that the coming few years we'll have to see government who have been very good in putting cash into the economy. They'll have to start reining back on some of that cash, because this is not something that's sustainable long term. So it needs private business to be part of that. And at the moment, private business doesn't have the cash because it doesn't even have enough cash often to keep people going. And that's a worry. But for our city to be an international iconic city, we need to get a business improvement district working. We need to get all the businesses together. So Knowledge Quarter, Baltic, expansion of the retail quarter, Liverpool One working closer together with the Royal Albert Dock and the waterfront, all of those organisations coming together so we can really punch our weight on the international stage for marketing, for business tourism and business subvention. Our arena and convention centre needs business subvention. Subvention is the money that's given to conference organisers to bring their conferences to the city. And we know the amount of income that comes into the city's visitor economy and into the city's GVA through those conferences and tourism. So we need that. The bid was looking at expanding the bid across the city centre, but also working with our hoteliers to have that hotel levy, because we've talked about hotel levies, but what you're not able to levy via taxation at the moment, although that might change, we don't know, but the bid legislation allows you to do that, allows you to charge that small amount each night.
Yeah, and that for me is the attraction, Bill. We hear the phrase tourism tax being bandied about, we hear about hotel levies and visitors paying an additional amount on the bill, which of course, if you're a regular visitor to Europe, you'll see that if you look at your invoice, if you study it carefully enough. Of course, that's something that we don't do in this country, partly because hotels don't get the same sort of VAT relief that those establishments get abroad, but equally, as you say, legislation stops that from happening. What we can do though immediately is extend that bid geography and gain the additional cash that those additional levy payers would give us. And for me, you know, it's a no-brainer because, as I say, it's cash that will come into the city, will be directed in terms of how it's spent by businesses, and would at this time of, again, further round of cuts, I guess, for the City Council, give us a boost at a timely, in a timely manner, because we are going to face, aren't we, over the next 12 months, whatever happens between now and Christmas, a challenging period for those key visitor economy industries that have been crucial to the growth of Liverpool.
Exactly. If you just concentrate on the city alone, our visitor economy numbers in 2019 was £3.3 billion, 38,000 jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that for the business rates, and this city is desperate to have those business rates coming in to support the essential services. £280 million, about 49% of the business rates coming into the city comes through the visitor economy and through the retail, hospitality and leisure sector. So it's why it's critical we have to get that support. And the way to get that support on a sustainable basis is through a bid model that enables the businesses to have the direct input into that. And this is about us as a city now leading the way across the city region, because Liverpool is the attack brand, that's been adopted, but Liverpool now needs to be able to control its own destiny in terms of how it resolves its way forward. So we need to look at how we support marketing Liverpool and how we enable the right resources to go into that organisation that can work hard as they have done and are doing, but really work hard and give them the ability to really compete on the international stage. Because yes, with COVID we're going to get the domestic market going, and we'll see those campaigns shortly. We'll hope that we will work together to get people back into offices, because we need to get people back in safely, as we talked right at the beginning. But we've got to get our international marketplace back. We need to have people coming back into the city, and the fabulous city that we have, you know, with those we've got football teams, but also the music at the heart of it, and our history and our heritage, and all of that is what will bring people back to the city. But we need to do it in the right way. We need to fund it, and that's why the Business Improvement District, I believe, is the organisation, if it's set up correctly, which it will be in this city, it can fund all of those initiatives.
Bill, great to see you.
Thanks,
for
Craig.
joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks
Let's
for inviting me into the den.
Yeah, let's hope we're at Goodison Park for a game soon.
Let's hope so. Thanks for that.
Cheers,
Great.
mate. Thank you.
Yeah.